What if I told you that one of the most popular supplements people take at night, magnesium, might not be the muscle builder you've been led to believe? For years, magazines, ads, and even some trainers have repeated the same message. Take magnesium before bed. It helps your muscles recover. But here's the uncomfortable truth. It's not magnesium that flips the real switch for muscle repair. In fact, relying on it alone may have kept you weaker than you realize. The real secret lies in two completely different vitamins. They're the hidden triggers your body depends on at night to rebuild, repair, and protect muscle tissue. I've seen this firsthand with my patients over decades of medical practice, and the results are life-changing when these nutrients are used correctly. Now, I know this challenges what you've probably heard before. Some of you might agree, some might doubt it, and that's fine. But here's why you'll want to stick around. In the next few minutes, you're going to learn exactly which two vitamins activate your muscles while you sleep, and more importantly, how to combine them the right way for maximum strength and recovery. That's knowledge you won't just read in a supplement ad, because the industry doesn't want you to know it. And here's something even more surprising. 3 common vitamins that many older adults take every night are actually working against them. Instead of protecting muscle, they're quietly breaking it down. I'll reveal what they are later in this video, so don't miss it. By the end, you'll walk away knowing not only what to take, but also what to avoid if you want to stay strong, independent, and energetic, no matter your age. Oh, and if you'd like to follow along, I've placed a simple outline of this video in the description below. You can use it as notes or to revisit the key points anytime you want. So, let's get into it, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you think about nighttime recovery and muscle health. Most people don't realize this, but nearly 70% of your muscle repair happens while you're asleep. Not in the gym, not when you're eating protein, but right there in the middle of the night. Between about 11 p.m. and 3 a.m., your body is on what I like to call its night shift. That's when growth hormone is released, and your muscle cells act like tiny construction crews, quietly patching up the micro tears from your day and laying down stronger fibers for tomorrow. I once worked with a 74-year-old patient who lifted weights faithfully, ate his protein, and still couldn't gain strength. It wasn't until we adjusted his nutrition and made sure he had the right vitamins at the right time that things changed. Within just 6 weeks, he noticed his grip was firmer, his legs felt steadier, and even climbing stairs became easier. Science backs this up too. A review in Sleep Medicine Reviews found that older adults who got 6 to 7 hours of quality deep sleep had 18% more muscle mass than those who slept poorly. Think about that. A difference you can measure just from how well your body rests at night. Here's how I like to picture it. During the day, your body is like a construction site. You're tearing down and stressing the muscle. But at night, the heavy machinery finally rolls in. The workers show up, the repairs begin, and new strength is built. But if they don't have the right materials, the whole job stalls. Let's start with the first vitamin. And no, it's not magnesium. It's something far more powerful. Something even the ancient Vikings relied on to keep their strength through the dark winters. Vitamin D3. Think of vitamin D3 as the architect of your muscles. While you sleep, it flips on little switches in your cells called VDRs, vitamin D receptors. Once those switches light up, your muscles suddenly get the green light to pull in calcium and phosphorus from the food you ate earlier in the day. Those two minerals are like the steel and concrete of your muscle fibers. Without them, your muscles might as well be trying to build a skyscraper out of straw. And here's something even more fascinating. Vitamin D3 doesn't just help you absorb nutrients. It quietly encourages your body to make more testosterone at night. Now I know when people hear testosterone, they think of young athletes. But here's the truth. Testosterone is just as important for older adults because it's the hormone that tells your body, hey, take that protein you ate today and use it to build new muscle tissue while you sleep. Without enough of it, the process slows down dramatically, sometimes by as much as 60%. I've seen this play out with my own patients, folks in their 60s and 70s who struggled with lingering soreness after workouts, or who told me they woke up more tired than when they went to bed. Many times the culprit was low vitamin D. And once we corrected it, the difference was night and day. They didn't just feel less achy, they actually started noticing more strength in their arms and legs. The research backs it up too. A study out of Harvard followed a group of seniors who had low vitamin D. Over 8 months, the ones who took vitamin D3 gained an average of 2.8 pounds of lean muscle. The group that didn't supplement? They barely gained anything, just 0.4 pounds. It's a small number, but in older adults, that can mean the difference between staying independent or needing help just to get out of a chair. And here's a little story I love to share. The Vikings, centuries ago, didn't have capsules or supplements, but they did have cod liver oil. They knew that without sunlight in the long winters, their bodies would weaken. So they passed down the practice of consuming cod liver oil to keep their strength. Today, we understand it was packed with vitamin D3 all along. They didn't know the science, but they knew it worked. So how do you make vitamin D3 work for you? The key is timing and absorption. Vitamin D3 is fat-soluble, which means your body needs healthy fats to pull it in. The best way to take it is with dinner, ideally a meal that has foods like salmon, avocado, or a drizzle of olive oil. That combination doesn't just give you the vitamin, it unlocks it. For many of my patients, I recommend 2,000 to 4,000 IU with their evening meal. And trust me, it makes a difference when it's taken consistently. Picture this. You enjoy a piece of grilled salmon with herbs, maybe some roasted mushrooms with rosemary, and a side of mashed sweet potato with a touch of butter. Then you finish the meal with a glass of fortified milk. That's not just dinner. It's a prescription for muscle recovery. That one meal alone can deliver more vitamin D than many people get in an entire week of sunlight. But here's the thing. As powerful as vitamin D3 is, it's not the full picture. I like to call it the architect, the one who designs the blueprint and lays the foundation. But an architect can't build the house alone. You still need the workers, the materials, and the energy to bring that blueprint to life. And that's where the next vitamin comes in. Because if you stop here and only take vitamin D3, you'll still be missing the biggest piece of the puzzle. In fact, your muscles might never fully repair without it. And in just a moment, I'll reveal exactly what that missing piece is. If vitamin D is the architect, then zinc is the builder, the crew that quietly shows up day after day, laying brick after brick, making sure the structure actually stands. Without these builders, the blueprint just stays on paper. Zinc is one of those minerals most people don't think about. It doesn't get flashy headlines like protein or calcium. But inside your body, it's quietly running the show. More than 300 enzymes, tiny little tools that rebuild muscle fibers, depend on zinc to even function. Imagine trying to fix a broken wall without a hammer or nails. That's what your muscles go through when zinc is missing. Here's where it gets really interesting. Zinc has a direct hand in how your growth hormone works at night. You know that deep, restful sleep where your body does its real repair work? That's when growth hormone should be surging. And zinc is like the switch that allows it to do its job. Without enough of it, the hormone signal is weak, and your muscles miss their chance to rebuild. That's why older adults who are low in zinc often complain that even after a full night of sleep, they still wake up stiff, sore, and weaker than before. I remember one patient vividly, an 82-year-old gentleman. He was eating all the right foods, getting plenty of protein, even staying active. But he was frustrated. No matter what he tried, his arms felt weaker, his grip less steady. It didn't make sense, because on paper he was doing everything right. When we tested his zinc levels, they were way below normal. Once we corrected that, just 20 milligrams a day, within a month his strength improved so much that he told me, smiling, I finally opened that stubborn jar of pickles my daughter had to do for me. Small win? Maybe. But for him, it was a sign his muscles were waking up again. And the science supports these stories. Researchers at the University of Michigan looked at how zinc affects muscle protein synthesis, the process where your body actually knits together new muscle tissue. They found that supplementing with 20 milligrams of zinc a day boosted muscle protein synthesis by 34%. That's not just a little bump. That's the kind of difference you can feel in your everyday life, climbing stairs, lifting groceries, or even just standing up from a chair. Now, the trick with zinc isn't just taking it, it's taking it the right way. Zinc absorbs best when it's not competing with other minerals or food. The sweet spot is about 2 hours after dinner, with a glass of plain water. And here's something many people don't realize. You don't want to take it right before bed. For some folks, it can actually cause restlessness or an upset stomach. So aim for that quiet window in the evening, where your stomach is mostly empty, and let the zinc do its job. I like to think of zinc as the silent worker. You won't feel it the way you might feel caffeine or sugar. It doesn't give you a quick buzz, but over time, it quietly reinforces your foundation, strengthening the walls of your body so that when you do the little daily movements, like reaching overhead, squatting down, or carrying a bag, they feel steady instead of shaky. And yet, here's the catch. You could be taking zinc faithfully, getting your vitamin D, even eating enough protein. But if you make one very common mistake with your evening supplements, all of that effort can go to waste. In fact, there are 3 specific vitamins that, if taken at night, can sabotage your recovery. And the surprising part? Almost everyone I talk to is taking at least one of them. That's why before we go further, I need to warn you about this mistake. Because no matter how perfect your routine is, if you're drinking in those 3 vitamins at the wrong time, your muscles will never fully bounce back. This is the part that surprises people the most, because we're not talking about some strange, exotic supplement. These are the everyday vitamins and habits so many of us already have built into our routines. And yet, taken at the wrong time, especially at night, they can quietly undo the very progress you're working so hard to achieve. Let's start with the first one, B vitamins. Now don't get me wrong, B vitamins are essential. They're like spark plugs for your body, helping turn food into usable energy, keeping your nerves sharp and your brain humming. But here's the catch. That same energizing effect is the exact reason you don't want them before bed. Think about it. Your body is trying to wind down, slip into deep, restorative sleep, and suddenly, it's like you've flipped on a row of bright fluorescent lights in your nervous system. A 2019 study found that when older adults took B vitamins in the evening, their melatonin, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to rest, dropped significantly. The result? Sleep cycles got scrambled, deep sleep got cut short, and the body's nighttime repair shift never really got going. I'll never forget Margaret, one of my patients, 87 years old. She was so frustrated because even though she was eating well and staying active, her muscles just wouldn't respond. Every morning she felt drained, like she'd been tossing and turning all night. When I asked about her supplements, she proudly said she was taking a B complex every evening right after dinner. We tried something simple, switching her B complex to the morning. That was it. Within just 3 weeks, she not only reported sleeping more soundly but also gained back 2 pounds of muscle. For someone her age, that was a huge step forward in strength and independence. The second one is just as common. Vitamin C. Most people think, vitamin C is safe anytime. It's just an antioxidant. And yes, it's an incredibly powerful one. But here's what doesn't get talked about enough. While antioxidants protect cells, they can also blunt some of the natural stress signals your muscles need at night to trigger repair. Here's an example. Harold, 79, was faithfully taking his vitamin C tablets at night, right before bed. On paper, he was doing everything right. He thought he was protecting himself. But over time he noticed his muscles weakening, almost like his strength was fading faster than before. When we dug into his habits, the timing of his vitamin C stood out. We switched it to the morning. Within weeks, Harold's sleep deepened, his energy during the day improved, and slowly but surely, his muscles began to bounce back. It was like his body finally got the green light to repair itself at night. And then there's the third culprit, caffeine. Now this one may sound obvious. We all know a late cup of coffee can keep you awake. But what a lot of people don't realize is just how deeply it can interfere with your muscles at night. Caffeine doesn't just make you feel alert. It actually raises cortisol, your stress hormone, and blocks adenosine, the chemical that helps your brain relax into sleep. One study in 2020 showed that older adults who consumed caffeine close to bedtime ended up losing 28% more muscle mass over time compared to those who avoided it. 28%. That's the difference between being able to climb stairs comfortably or struggling to get up from a chair. And caffeine isn't just in coffee. It sneaks into evening tea, chocolate, even certain supplements marketed for energy or fat burning. When you put these three together, B vitamins revving your nerves, vitamin C blocking muscle repair signals, and caffeine disrupting deep sleep, it's no wonder so many people struggle to gain or even maintain muscle as they age. They're unknowingly stacking the odds against themselves, all because of timing. And here's the encouraging part. The solution isn't complicated. You don't need to throw away these supplements. You don't need to stop drinking your morning coffee. All you need to do is shift the timing. Move your B vitamins and vitamin C to earlier in the day. Keep caffeine in the morning or at least well before lunch. By the time evening rolls around, let your body do what it's meant to do: repair, rebuild, and restore. Now here's where it gets exciting. If you avoid these three at night, the door finally opens for your muscles to do their best work while you sleep. But that naturally raises the next big question. So when is the golden time to take them? Because the timing can make the difference between supplements that just pass through your body and supplements that actually transform your strength and energy. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you in the closing section. Remember this: muscle isn't built in the gym. It's built in your sleep. The lifting, the walking, the stretching, those are just the sparks. But the real construction crew shows up at night, when your body is finally at rest. And like any construction site, the crew can only work if the right materials are delivered on time. That's where vitamin D3 and zinc come in. They're the architects and builders that make sure your muscles repair and grow stronger. At the same time, you've got to clear the roadblocks. Taking B-complex, vitamin C, or caffeine at night is like cutting the power right when your repair team is ready to get to work. Without realizing it, many people have been sabotaging their own progress, night after night, for years. But here's the good news. It's never too late to turn things around. I've watched patients well into their 70s and 80s regain muscle, strength, and independence just by learning how to fuel their bodies at the right time. Age doesn't have to mean weakness. In fact, when you give your body the right tools, it's amazing how much it can still do for you. And this is only the beginning. In the next video, I'm going to reveal a simple strategy that's been proven to boost leg strength by 34%. And here's the kicker. It doesn't require heavy workouts or exhausting routines. It's something almost anyone can start today. Trust me, you'll want to hear this one. Before you go, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. And let me know in the comments, are you taking any of those 3 supplements at night without realizing the damage they might be doing? Your story might help someone else too.